welcome back to the most professional sports channel on YouTube. Welcome back to Swivel Chair Sports. I'm your host, Zach Zuckerberg Burkle, here riding solo this week because all the other guys have prior engagements, but please be sure to like and subscribe. Other than that, let's get into it. So, in this video, we'll be talking about the upcoming game between the Cleveland Browns and the Houston Texans in the first round of the NFL playoffs. Be taking place this Saturday afternoon at 3:30. Obviously, this is a rematch of a previous engagement earlier this season. However, instead of Case Keenum being the quarterback for the Houston Texans, we will get to see probable Rookie of the Year, C.J. Stroud, under center. So, obviously, much different story than what that first game was. However, the Cleveland Browns still have the same old defense. That defense that has been pummeling teams all year long. That defense that's, I think, number one in yards allowed. That defense is that is one of, if not the best one in the league. So, that, along with a Joe Flacco who's playing somehow, some way, some of the best football of his entire career, has previously won a Super Bowl, I believe has 11 playoff wins. The Browns, being the 5 seed, playing host, or no, going to Houston because Houston won the division, that's right. Traveling on the road, playing at Houston against a very experienced quarterback who does not have all his weapons. He has Nico Collins, but has no Tank Dell. Going to be a little difficult for C.J. Stroud, I think, against this Cleveland defense. And then, as well as Joe Flacco on the offensive end for Cleveland, Amari Cooper with a recent resurgence, obviously. Having a tremendous stretch down towards the end of the season. I'm not sure exactly what his stats were in that stretch of games, but becoming a real reliable number one target for Joe Flacco, as he's made himself comfortable as the new starting quarterback for that Cleveland Browns team. But I guess the big story is probably going to be whether or not C.J. Stroud can get the offense going against that defense. And then on the other end, you also got to worry about Joe Flacco maybe hitting a wall. Now that he's, we've seen a lot of backup quarterbacks throughout this year come in, play a great 3 games in a row, and then really, really have a hard crash down to earth afterwards. So maybe we could be seeing a game like that for old Joe Flacco. Or maybe we could be seeing a game where the Cleveland defense carries them throughout and just keeps C.J. Stroud from, really getting anything going. Obviously, we saw that first play against Indianapolis this past week, the 75-yard touchdown pass. We know C.J. Stroud has some of the most confidence you'll ever find in a rookie quarterback. So that's always going to be kind of an outstanding factor that you've got to remember when talking about him. I just think it's going to be really tough to get it going against this Cleveland Browns defense, and I know I keep harking back to that defense, but I mean, number one in yards this season. I believe they're top 5 in points allowed as well. Least amount of yards allowed by. Dang it, that's bad. Team defense rankings, NFL yards allowed. Yeah, the Cleveland Browns are first in the NFL in yards allowed this season, I believe. NFL, only allowing 270 yards per game. However, in the last 3, they have allowed 312. And last game they allowed 300. Well, last game they probably didn't play their starters. I'm pretty sure they didn't play their starters. So that Cleveland defense is no joke, man. I mean, they're a big reason this Cleveland Browns team is even in the playoffs. Myles Garrett and that defense has had to carry the team the majority of the season, having a turnstile of quarterbacks this year before finally settling on Joe Flacco to be the guy going forward. Gonna check where they rank on points allowed this season as well. They're actually fairly low. They're actually 13th in points allowed, allowing 21.3. But I would guess that that's kind of more of a factor of that offense early in the season not being able to get going, probably leaving a lot of short fields for the opponents. Probably more field goals than those are touchdowns in those 21 points, if we're being honest, because that Cleveland defense only allowing 270 yards a game or something like that is ridiculous. But then if you go look at the Houston offense, I think they're one of the best in the league. I know C.J. Stroud is leading the NFL in both touchdown interception ratio and total passing yards, I believe, are the two stats. NFL total passing yards leaders. It's loading. Tua led the league in passing your way. What? Oh, C.J. Stroud was not even close. Where am I getting my stats from? But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He was 8th in passing yards this season. He was also 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, he did only throw 5 picks to 23 touchdowns. So there is something to be said about that. He's able to score without turning the ball over. That's obviously huge for a quarterback, especially in their first run in the playoffs. I think that's going to be the biggest factor in this game is whether or not he can stay clean and if he can keep the ball in his team's hands, not turn the ball over. So I really want to go Texans in this game, but I think it's hard to pick against the Browns just because of the experience at quarterback and because that defense is as good as it is. However, C.J. Stroud's confidence is, he's got more confidence than anyone. So it's hard to pick against him, but I think that's what I'm going to have to do. I think we're going to have to go with Joe Flacco and the Browns. I think Myles Garrett's going to get to C.J. Stroud at least once, maybe two times. I don't know if C.J. Stroud's gonna throw an interception, but I do think he will turn the ball over at least by a fumble. So yeah, I think the inexperience, kind of like if you haven't watched our Packer video yet, or if it hasn't come out yet, make sure you watch it. But I said the same thing about the Packers versus the Cowboys coming up this weekend as well. I think the inexperience is just kind of gonna bite Houston in the butt, not only with their players but also with their head coach. Obviously, D'Amico Ryan's rookie head coach, so which credit to him, what he's been able to do this season, lead the Texans to the playoffs in his first season, is incredible. But I think when you get a team, and Kevin Stefanski doesn't necessarily have loads more experience than him as a head coach by any means. Obviously, he came in a few years ago when Baker was running the show up there in Cleveland, but he does have playoff experience. He's won a playoff game before with Baker Mayfield at quarterback. Now he has Joe Flacco, but I think also the Browns are just the better team overall. Their defense is better than Houston's, obviously. And then I think Joe Flacco, with that slight edge and experience, he could end up having a better game than C.J. Stroud. I think it really comes down to, can Houston's offense score on Cleveland? That's really going to be what it comes down to at the end of the day. Is if C.J. Stroud can score, if C.J. Stroud throws for 3 touchdowns, I bet you Houston wins this game. But other than that, I think Cleveland's probably going to come out on top. So Let me go ahead and check. I've got Aaron and Joe's. Aaron also has the Browns winning, and I believe Joe does too. Yeah, Joe also has the Browns winning, so we're all in unison. I think we all would agree that the experience of C.J. Stroud um, and D'Amico Ryans is just going to end up being kind of their downfall here in the first round. But credit to them for winning the division. Credit to D'Amico for getting this team to the playoffs in his first season at the helm. And credit to C.J. Stroud for getting this team to the playoffs in his first season under center. So, other than that, I think that'll do it. But yeah, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy our content. Deuces.